We got Dr. Ed Group in the house today from Global Healing, a dear friend of mine, somebody who is making waves all around the world and helping millions of people at this point completely transform their lives when it comes to true healthcare, as opposed to the current system, which I like to call the sick care system, because they kind of keep you in a perpetual state of that for obvious financial gain and power and so on and so forth. So first and foremost, Ed, I want to say thank you for being here. Thank you very much for giving us your time.
You know, Jason, it's always a pleasure to be hanging out with you. The light and the energy that you emit is amazing. And just the heart that you have and we have and everybody else has, the collaboration, people coming together, especially since the pandemic, which actually is turning out to be a pretty good thing because it's woken up so many people and it's really had us dive deep into what's currently going on and start asking more questions. And so I believe, and we've been talking, you and I have both been talking about this, that we're entering the Great Awakening at a more rapid rate. The higher conscious frequencies are coming into us. When that happens, we go through what is termed pain, trauma, suffering, chaos, etc. But I like to tell people that there's two types of pain, trauma, and suffering. There's transformational pain, trauma, and suffering, and then there's degrading pain, trauma, and suffering. And so that's, this is actually a really good thing. People around you are going to be exposed for who they really are. You're going to be forced to grow spiritually, mentally, and physically. It's almost the stories you hear from people that move to Sedona or wherever there's a big vortex, especially in Hawaii. And the locals have been laughing about it for years because they're like, oh, here comes somebody that's going to move into the vortex. And they're all gone within a year, 90% of them, because they don't, the energy is transformational. And if you're not willing to transform, and that means transforming on an energetic, vibrational level, which means spiritually, physically, and mentally, then it'll push you out. And that's what happens in Hawaii and in areas that like Sarasota and areas that have really high vibrational energy fields. And that's what's happening right now on the planet. Of course, we have lots of interruptions with that and interference with that, with all the cell phone towers and all of the smart technologies and the transhumanism agenda, which is what our research team has really been diving deep into since 2018. But yeah, it's great because the hearts are opening and people are becoming more spiritual, and with that, their organs, their bodies are resonating at a higher vibrational frequency, which goes back to the ancient Vedic and ancient Egyptian and, the philosophies of the ancient Tibetans, which is our largest organ is our energy field, is our aura, is our biofield. We have been taught that our skin is the largest organ, but in reality, our biofield is the largest organ. And people are even waking up to that. So yeah, thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. To that point of what you're bringing up, there are a lot of people there like, how can you say that we're going to this good place and that we're in a good place right now with what's going on? Because everywhere that we're looking, there's a problem. And that's kind of that art and balance of understanding the law of balance and the law of polarities, where the further you go down, the further you're going to fly high and go a whole lot further in terms of that journey. And in general, with what I'm seeing right now, I always like to focus on the indications of success. And we're seeing a lot of them right now. We really are making a lot of strides. I'll give you a perfect example. And you know of this firsthand with your experiences with the energy enhancement system. That technology has been around since 1996. It's nothing new. But for whatever reason, over the past 2 years, things have started to change. They went from very few centers, about 20, to over 400 in 2 years. To me, that's a testament. That's an indication of people taking action. So, of course, there are some people that face those transformational energies and they say, I don't know, I can't deal with that. And they run away and they try again next time. But there are a lot more people right now, and I know you know this as well, with how even global healing is growing. You see that growing because people are looking for different things. They're looking for different alternatives that really aren't alternatives. They're the source of it all. They're the natural place that everything comes from. So that's why I always say we're in a beautiful place. And I agree with you on what you're saying, because we see it very clearly. Look how the world is changing. What you focus on is really what you're going to see. What you look for is what you're going to see. And if you look for the beauty of how the world is changing, you're going to see those indications of how the world is changing. So let's talk about global healing for a second. Before we go into EE system, I know that you've had experience with the technology. You've been doing research on that front as well with your team. And it's been impacting, from what I hear, in a positive way when it comes to your supplements and your products at Global Healing. But can you tell us what you've seen in terms of other indicating factors of success of a better world coming when it comes to global healing specifically? And for anybody who doesn't know what it is, can you explain what global healing is?
Yeah, so my mission actually in life was not really necessarily to develop products, but to teach people how to harness their own spirituality and how to identify the root cause of all of the health conditions they may be suffering from. And that led me back to when I first met Dr. Sandra Michael, which was in the mid 90s. When I was part of the Tesla research team. And so that team was, there were four of us. Tesla had an understudy that came to Tesla when he was 16 years old. His name was Arthur Matthews. If anyone wants to read a really cool behind the scenes autobiography of Tesla, you can get the book from Arthur Matthews called The Wall of Light. It's a very difficult book to find, but there are PDF versions available online. So my research, the research team we were on in the mid 90s was, at that time, there was a small group of doctors called Advanced Alternative Oncologists.
Mm-hmm.
And there was when the CAM program was coming in the mid 90s. And I was part of a small team of advanced alternative oncologists. There was probably only 60 or 70 of us in the world because they were being killed off because of the different types of technologies. Back then, even in the 90s, we were looking at Lakhovsky's multi-wave oscillator, and I ended up being on the Rife, Royal Raymond Rife research team, which I ended up getting all of Rife's original lab manuals and all the stuff that wasn't confiscated. And a good friend of mine, Steve Ross, still has his microscope. Of course, it's been damaged. And we were looking at the Nemascope, which is another scope actually that could view even atoms live at the time. There was a energy-based technologies going on back then, but this was the baseline of what I was studying was scalar
How
wave
did you even
technology.
get into, I mean, what inspired you, especially at the time when the world was not into energy, frequency, and vibration? What pulled you towards that world?
What pulled me towards that world was our research team was traveling around the world, and our goal was to find out what the root cause of cancer was. And as we traveled around, we were working with different types of natural doctors and researchers and scientists. And these scientists were educating us on frequencies. And, basically it was like, look, all of these toxins in your external environment and the internal environment. I mean, basically the simple saying is that all mental, physical, and spiritual conditions that you may be suffering from are a direct cause of your external environment and your internal environment. And that's it. That was our conclusion.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly along the lines of Bruce Lipton's research with the epigenetics, of that it's the environment that causes your conditions, not the genes that have been passed down that cause your condition.
I love that you bring that up. I speak about that often as well, where it's like we're paying attention to the wrong thing. If you change the environment, the disease will not be able to manifest in the first place. Energetically speaking, you obviously do everything in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. To me, I like simplifying it to basically saying, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this as well, if you agree or not. Disease is energetic imbalance. Health is energetic balance. If we want to simplify it as a common denominator. Then all
Yeah,
the
that's
terminologies and expressions are a different story,
exactly. That's the baseline of it. I mean, ultimately, you can narrow your whole life down to four words. The first two words are poisons. You can call them toxins, poisons, anything that's not natural or that affects your biofield or that affects your body, your mind, and your soul. And so that's people can be poisonous. TV, social media, I mean, anything that's going to lower your vibrational frequencies could be a toxin to you, could be a poison to you. So what's the opposite of that? The opposite of that is detox. It's cleansing, it's avoiding. So really, like, if you take anybody that's suffering from any condition, it's caused by poisons reducing their vibrational frequency. And what's the solution to that? Detoxification. That's why I've always been a big fan of detoxification. The next two words that can describe your life are time and decisions, because time is the most valuable asset that you're ever going to have. And I learned this early on working with multimillionaires, the royal family, billionaires, individuals that had all the money in the world, and they would come and they were in their 50s, 60s, been divorced 10 or 15 times, or had addictions to alcohol or whatever, and they would come to me for cleansing and detoxification and counseling. And you always should be a student no matter what. You know what I mean? Like, the true definition of a doctor is a teacher, not a prescriber. And I would learn so much from these individuals, because I would ask them, well, what would you do anything different in your life if you could do it over again? And they would always say, I wish I would have spent more time with my kids. I wish I would have spent more time on my health. I wish I would have spent more time on my relationships, because I'm on my fifth wife or husband now. And, I realize now that I wasn't paying attention and wasn't communicating and wasn't balancing out my life. I wish I would have spent more time on my spiritual growth.
Yeah.
And that taught me. And so that's time. Time, you can make money, lose money, you can do this, do that, but time is the most valuable asset that you can never get back. And then if you focus in on time, then it goes to decisions, because that's really what we do all day long. It's like, what time am I going to wake up in the morning? That's a decision. Am I going to stay up late and watch this show or not? So every decision that you make has an impact on your vibrational energy. Am I going to eat this cheeseburger at lunch today, or am I going to eat this salad at lunch today? Am I going to watch a show on Unified, or am I going to watch a show on Netflix today? I mean, ultimately, everything in your life comes down to time and decision. So I learned that we have to start making the better decisions and the right decisions on a regular basis. Look, even doing the 80-20 rule is a great place to start. Even if you're making healthy decisions, and you can just say, is this decision going to raise my vibrational frequency, or is this decision going to lower my vibrational
It's like
frequency?
making the unconscious conscious, so you can see what's going on and
Yeah,
make better
but
decisions.
our lives have been engineered. Okay, our lives have been engineered, so we look outside of ourselves. So we pay attention to our phone, our social media. We're looking over here. It's a distraction. We're being distraction. Everything, especially since the 1960s, when it got really ramped up with the introduction of TVs, more people having TVs and radios and stuff like that. Our research led us to the understanding that pretty much every single aspect of our lives have been engineered without us even knowing it. From the political system being completely engineered, from all the racism stuff to divide us against each other being engineered, to all the wars being engineered, to all of the chemicals and things we're exposed to being engineered, to the educational system, which was engineered, the financial system, which was engineered. I mean, basically everything around us has been engineered to get us into the system and distract us from who we really are, which are spiritual beings, who our destiny here on this planet is to become enlightened beings of the light, of the high vibration, to understand. And every spiritual text that's ever been written out there says the kingdom of heaven is within. How much are you taught how to go within, how to ground, how to raise your frequency, how to, even with the great spiritual sages, which they call dying while living, being able to actually leave your body and go travel in the heavens and then come back down into your body? These are all the things that have been restricted from us. And that's another reason why we are going through what we're going through right now with the pain and the trauma and the suffering, is because we have been so engineered and so debilitated and distracted and zombified that the only way that you can wake people up at that point in time is to create pain or trauma or suffering. I've interviewed many of people that have been addicted to drugs, alcohol, whatever, the multimillionaires that have gone, spent millions of dollars in rehab centers, and then all of a sudden they're clean for 10 years, 5 years. And I always ask them, hey, what is it? Teach me. What was it? Because you've tried all this stuff, nothing worked. What was it that shifted you? What was it? And every single time it's like I had to go through the most pain and the most trauma and the most suffering. I had to hit rock bottom. I lost my kids, I lost my wife, I lost my job, I lost all the money, and then something inside of me, a higher power clicked. And from that day forward, I've never done any drugs or anything like that.
Usually how it happens, you hit rock bottom, everything just changes from there. And I see that as a common theme, even in my own personal life. I had to go through over 20 shoulder dislocations, almost losing my leg in my life from a staph infection, to eventually realize, Jason, what the hell are you doing? You're not living your life in alignment with the way that you came here to live. And that's when all the changes were made. But in that way, your rock bottom is really the best place you can be to make the shift that you need to make. So again, to your point in the beginning with the Great Awakening, that's what we're seeing right now. It's individuals hitting rock bottom and seeing, oh my God, what's going on, to eventually make that change. So
Yeah, it's a shakeup that's happening right now, and that's why you might be going through all these things with family members and all this other stuff, chaotic stuff in your life. But if you're willing to be receptive to that, and you're willing to grow, and you're willing to take in that light, then let the universe, let God take care of those things for you, and just enjoy the ride. Now, there's two ways you can go. Obviously, let's say you get cancer or something, and then you go the medical route. Well, you're going to go through, you're giving up all of your energy to somebody else. Okay. This is not about doing that. You're going to go through pain and trauma and suffering. And unfortunately, most likely you're going to die. However, if you take it on yourself and you take responsibility, because even disease is there for a reason. It's for us to learn. It's for us to stop and pay attention to what we've been doing wrong in our lives. It's for us to grow. It's just like we get it to wake us up and to move past it. You get cancer and you go the natural route, you're taking responsibility yourself. You're learning about what you were doing wrong. You were spending too much time. This person was a negative influence in your life. You were eating a bunch of crappy foods. You were doing this. You're learning and you're transforming. So pain and trauma and suffering can be a great transformation, or it can lead you the other way down to non-transformation as well. Now, the reason I got into energy, to answer your question earlier, in vibrations, is because we were studying it back then, but I was also studying plant alchemy. And plant alchemy, my main teacher was Paracelsus from the 1600s.
okay.
I just so happened was good friends with Stephen Ross, who ran the World Research Foundation and has the largest natural medicine library in pretty much every topic. And he allowed me and copied all of the Paracelsus books. And Paracelsus and plant alchemy is so advanced that you have to actually become a very strong spiritual person and an alchemist yourself to be able to transfer alchemy. The definition of alchemy is basically a transmutation or connection with consciousness and understanding the true power of how everything works together and the peaceful union of energies. So let's say you could take a synthetic calcium molecule, but an alchemist would not look at it like that. An alchemist would say, okay, so I'm going to do the extraction of the plant, but I'm going to preserve the salts of the plant. I'm going to take them through the earth, the fire, the water, the ether, and I'm going to extract what I can. Then I'm going to burn the rest of the plant material until it's a white ash. Then I'm going to purify the ashes and I'm going to create the salts of the plant. And then I'm going to bring that energy and that vibration and that power back to life. And that means there's different layers that we have of energy where you can just say, okay, I can read the energy off of a calcium molecule, but what about the subtle toroidal layer around that? What about the layer around that? What about the third dimensional layer around that? What if you could bring a calcium molecule to the point of energy that it merges back into consciousness? That's the philosopher's stone. And the secret ingredient, by the way, to make the philosopher's stone is actually the alchemist's own urine. And most people don't know that, but that is the actual secret. So for
Very
me,
interesting.
I wanted to create highly vibrational supplements, but I wanted to also be a steward of the land, be able to uh, test and get the finest ingredients and preserve those ingredients as much as I can to be able to, because I wanted to take them myself. And in all honesty, there's nothing out there that I feel comfortable taking, especially what's happened in the last 6 or 7 years.
That's why I support what you do so much. I mean, I've been to your facility personally. I've been there with my family, and I see how you do things. And I mean, it's every single step along the way is taken care of appropriately and accordingly in alignment with proper awareness of how energy, frequency, and vibration actually works. It's not just a guessing game and let's get lucky and see if it works. It's very, very calculated all the way to, for anybody that's ever been to Ed's facility, you'll even see frequencies in the form of music being directed towards these supplements while they're mixing and being made, and those formulas being put together. So it's an amazing thing. I've never seen somebody do something like that before. And that's when I saw you and I'm like, okay, this guy knows what he's doing, because it's not just some scientist that came here and started, merging things. It's somebody that understands the laws of creation and built things accordingly. A perfect example of that in another route, which as well with the system. The reason why I support it is for that same reason. It's the same reason I support you with what you do, because it's a technology that was built on the fundamentals of the laws of creation and energy, frequency, and vibration. If you build technology according to that, your supplements are a form of technology. They may not have wires like we think of a computer and a phone, but it's a technology. It's still using energy. It's still using frequency and vibration. So when it comes to what you're doing in global healing, when it comes to the system, the reason why I support them is because of the awareness of the inventors behind them. In this case, you and Dr. Sandra Rose Michael. Now, I know you have a lot of different amazing things that you bring to the table at your facility and facilities in general when it comes to how you manufacture these things. But I know recently you've been sort of getting more acquainted with the technology, with the energy enhancement system. And from what I understand, you're using it and testing it to see its impact on your supplements. Can you speak more on that, on what you're seeing, if you have any, tangible things that you can share at this point of the energy enhancement system's impact on your supplements?
Yeah, so we've tested many different types of scalar wave technologies out there. And it kind of reminds me back in the day when we were testing all the different Rife machines out there and really not finding, any of them that were that effective. What Dr. Sandra Michael has put together with the EES system is what I would consider the most powerful system on the planet of these balancing original Tesla-based scalar waves. We've tested a lot of different devices out there, and we just tested again Sandra's device, and we already have, through comparisons, the highest activity. We hired Dr. Glenn Ryan. He's probably the top quantum physicist in the world. He's been that way for years and years. He's developed technologies to be able to test frequencies. He's developed different types of testing methodologies to be able to test, before and after, if you're exposed to it as a human, or if something is charged, like the pendants that she creates, or the bracelets, or even products. And so, yeah, we've spent the last 8 months doing different types of testing and tuning on different types of scalar wave and acoustic, different types of acoustic hertz ranges as well. And found that the EES system, when our products are exposed to the EES system, it enhances the energy and vibration between 30 and 40%.
When you say energy
Huge.
vibration, are you talking about like the power of what that supplement can actually do?
The power of what that supplement can actually do. Yes, because everything is based on energy and vibration.
How do you
So,
how do you go about measuring it? When you say we measured with this quantum physicist,
yeah,
what are you doing to measure it?
so we have a combination of technology from Portakov over in Russia. We've got the BioWell. We've got a few different devices, proprietary devices that Glenn actually developed. He takes measurements and has an algorithmic procedure to be able to measure the before and after energy. And he can even do it actually even with DNA, doing it with DNA testing as well.
Have you done any of that before, or can we do that?
We can do it. Yeah, he has the capability to do that. We can definitely do the DNA testing, and we can look at another thing that we've been doing is we have the Echo Discovery microscope, which is there's only 5,000 of them in the world, and you can actually see energy, and you can do different fluorescence microscopy. You can do live field microscopy, dark field microscopy, light field microscopy, and we're using that more or less to be able to piece together the transhumanism agenda that we're seeing and the phases of what we're
Wow.
seeing in people's blood. But we are noticing, for example, that when we have not done the testing on the nanotechnology, I was just talking to Sandra about doing that last week, because we really would love to do that. We have before and after blood. We're seeing different fibers, antennas, spider silks, all this stuff that's being self-assembling and self-replicating, exactly this nanotechnology that the transhumanism agenda, Klaus Schwab and others have been talking about. So now we're testing, of course, multiple different products and urine and all kinds of different things, and we're finding things that are degrading the nanotech, stopping it. But we're moving more into energy and frequency and vibration. I put together a unique audio track about 2 years ago for an NFT project. Worked with a really high level spiritual sound producer, and we did a toroidal track, kind of based on scalar wave technology with different types of Safagio frequencies, and we actually tested that before and after, and that had just in a super impactful way. We literally saw like the crystals dissolving, the hydrogels dissolving just after 30 minutes of listening to this music.
What are your thoughts on merging that music, those frequencies, with an experience of a human experiencing the energy enhancement system technology?
Well, yeah, that's what Michael and I were just discussing out in Las Vegas. And that wasn't something that came from me. We were talking about sound and incorporating sound, and he had already been working on that for 2 or 3 years. He is a sound engineer, so we got into deep discussions about implementing a sound acoustics in with the EES. And I mean, I don't want to speak for them or anything like that. I think it's just an amazing idea. He's got some amazing technology when it comes to different types of toroidal, almost Lakovsky type headphones that you can wear to be able to infuse audio waves. I think it's going to, I mean, honestly, I think it's going to take the EES system to a whole nother level, because you're going to be able to incorporate we already know for a fact. I mean, I can give you the frequencies that are already destroying the nanotech and destroying the hydrogels. I mean, we've already proven that with multiple people just by listening to the audio. And I'm pretty sure the EES system is doing very similar things already. We just
Yes.
haven't tested that. I've known Sandra since the 90s, and have reviewed sent many people to the EES system, referred them, and then also reviewed massive amounts of testimonials. So we've always known that the next generation of, if you want to call natural medicine, is going to merge into frequency and vibration, which is, well, let me just say scalar wave oscillation, very beneficial oscillating wave type uh, healing devices. I mean, that's
Understood.
because that's your largest organ, which is your biofield, and your biofield is picking up those waves and then transmuting them all the way through your body and into your cells to balance out and replace the energy that may be sucked out from all the chemicals and toxins and everything else that you're consuming on a regular basis.
I love it. Well, I'll tell you what, I would love to find a way. I know we've been in talks about this, but I would love to find a way to create some form of whatever you want to call it, a collaboration, however it's formed, where we can actually have EE system charging those supplements that are already super, super high quality. I would call them the best in the world when it comes to global healing. And like you said, if it's 30 to 40% more powerful in terms of its impact on it, then Imagine that was being done to everything across the board when it came to global healing. And we just brought this energy to the world as a whole. So if that's something you're open to, I'm more than happy to help make that happen. And I think we could do some really good work here together.
Oh, we are definitely. We're building a whole new facility from the ground up, and it's specifically designed to be a fully. We already have one organic facility in Phoenix. We're building a whole new facility, and that's going to be specifically designed around the energy and the vibration. And in our room, where we use all glass vessels, I mean, we take the herbs through the lunar cycle if possible, the solar cycle, and we vortex them counterclockwise as well as clockwise. We're going to be working with Frank Chester with his chestahedron technology, his implosion devices, where we've got some really crazy
Awesome.
high technology that we're going to be implementing. And in that room where the herbs are actually setting and cultivating, we will have the EES systems all around in that room. So all of
Good.
the when they're going through that cultivation and that maceration process, will be getting infused with Sanders EES system.
Okay, we're gonna
We
bring
can
this all next level. I think it's gonna be amazing for the centers around the world as well. It's been constant growth and having people like you just in collaboration to make this even more powerful all around the world, and thus also helping make those supplements even better than what they already are, which I thought was impossible, but now we're seeing is. So it's awesome to see that we could do this, and I really just appreciate you. It's really you and Dr. Brian Artist. You're two individuals that I truly do look up to beyond just what you guys have created and what you've created with global healing. It's to me the individuals behind those creations that matter most because everything else is a reflection of you. So I just want to say thank you on behalf of myself, and I'm sure everybody that's watching this and the world as a whole. If anybody wants to learn more about global healing, you can go to globalhealing.com. Soon to have a massive collaboration with EE System and just having that technology and that energy in a very portable way in your supplements at home. So that's going to be amazing to see. I look forward to being able to announce that officially at some point in the near future. And of course, if you want to go and experience the EE system for yourself, if it does that to supplements, imagine what it does to your body. And there are a lot of studies underway right now, including a few with the BioWell that I'm going to be doing a few interviews on as well. So a lot of great things in the pipeline. Dr. Ed Group, I want to say thank you for your time here today. And let's do many more of these. I know you're taking some time off. I am too. But let's do more of these interviews and really bring people what they're looking for.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we can go through the, more of the whole processes of how the herbs and how the supplements are made, and even get into deeper about how people can protect themselves and some of the findings that we're getting under the microscope of just protecting yourself, and how you can transition in a really smooth way through this great awakening process without fear, without anxiety, without anger, with all this other stuff that's going on. And
Yeah.
really focusing in on yourself and this, and helping people around you too. I mean, being educated and helping other people around you. And that's, I just want to say thank you to you too, because you're putting that platform of education together where people can actually go there and learn. Don't, get away from the mainstream media. If you have an hour and you want to say, oh, I want to watch CNN, or y'all want to watch, which probably no one listening to this watches CNN. I'm hoping not, but go to Unify. I mean, watch the stuff that's actually going to bring you positive energy and vibration, the stuff that you can learn, and
Yeah.
something that's going to stimulate your body and your mind in a positive way. So thanks for having me on. Always a blast, talking to you about all this
Awesome,
stuff.
brother.
We're excited about everything you're doing too, and want to help get this information out to as many people as possible. So
I'll tell you what, just to plant the seed, if you're open to it, why don't we do an original sort of interview style, documentary, feature film style on your facility? People should see what's going on there and the level of power of what you bring to the table there. It's one of a kind. It's something that's literally not done anywhere else around the world. So if that's something you're open to, that would be a super cool, I mean, interview style, movie style sort of thing where we can just really feature what you're doing for the world to inspire the rest of the world to take action that same way.
yeah, actually, I would love every other manufacturing facility out there that's putting out stuff that you put in your mouth to be on even half the level that we are. It's just very unfortunate. I encourage it. I actually try to help other manufacturing
Yeah.
companies get up to speed, but they don't want to spend the money because most of them have private equity. Most of them are a certain percentage owned. And then that means like they're getting all their ingredients from China. They're all contaminated. They're not willing to invest. We're family owned and operated. We continually invest in higher, better, cleaner technology. I mean, who do you know out there that's going to use silicon platinum tubing everywhere in their facility? And no one else is going to do that. They're going to use plastic tubing. I mean, silicon platinum costs 100 times the amount for a 2 foot tube than plastic does.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's such a great idea. As soon as we get everything up and running, I would love to do that. We do
100%.
a video tour of our facility right now that's on our YouTube channel at drgroup.com. You can go over there and watch the
Awesome.
video tour, but it's not like that whole documentary thing. And as soon as we
Oh,
get the
no. I promise you,
yeah,
I'm
yours is
coming
going to
in.
be amazing.
We're bringing next level. You know how I do things. So
Mhm.
we'll have a good time. Again, if
Yeah.
anybody wants to find a center near them and experience the energy enhancement system, just go to unifiedhealing.com. If you want to learn more about what Dr. Ed Group is doing, globalhealing.com. And soon there's going to be a launch of something awesome with a collaboration between the two. So Ed, thank you very much for your time. And I look forward to just keeping in touch in the future.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, Jason. Appreciate it.
Thank you.